There's been a lot of problems in the Warriors series. As time goes on, a lot of these problems seem to expand like cracks weathering into a rock. One day, maybe the rock will crack and the series will die. Now, you can't repair a rock, but we can repair the series before it gets to that point. Here's how I think that can happen. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content, so you'll never be bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't have gotten here without you. Let's get on with the problems and how to fix it. In order to know how to fix something, you have to diagnose the problems first. The first problem I have to bring up is the complexity of the series. As any series grows or expands, of course things will become more complex. More characters are added, and it can be hard to keep track of them. Sometimes this can be a simple thing like palette color. However, sometimes there are more severe examples like Heavy Step. Cats can be revived from the dead. And perhaps worse than death, some characters suffer from chronic mischaracterization, where they will behave one way in a book and do a complete 180 in the next. This of course can be solved by a simple in-house wiki, but we all know the errands rely on fan wikis anyways. Plotlines can become more complex too, to the point where you can't even read the 7th arc if you haven't read the first because of the presence of Firestar's legacy. This creates a lack in new readers, as a young child will likely not read 50, 60 plus books just to understand the current arc and will give up halfway through. Plotlines don't have to just become more complex, they can also become overused. We've seen them all before at this point. Every single arc has a forbidden romance, it's nothing special. Golden Child with a neglected sibling has also been done at least 3 times by now. Another major problem with the series is power scaling. Power scaling is the concept that as time goes on, the stakes should be raised. You can't fight the Ender Dragon at the beginning of the game in Minecraft. Due to the way the series is plotted, there's a lack of proper power scaling, and the amount of stakes hits its peak at Omen of the Stars and almost manages to reach new heights in the Broken Code. However, Vision of Shadows was still a huge letdown when it comes to stakes. The series actually seems to be out of order. The threats for each arc are 1. A cat inside the clan / another cat outside of it, 2. Nature / mankind, 3. Destiny and another cat outside the clans, 4. Cat Hell, 5. Another cat coming in from outside the clans once again, and 6. Cat Hell 2, Electric Boogaloo. The main issue there is the last 2 arcs are kind of out of order and should have occurred before Omen of the Stars. The plot of Sky Clan returning does not have as much stakes as Hell coming down to Earth as it did in the 2 arcs surrounding it. I think the Broken Code would make a great introduction to the Dark Forest too, and help it show off before the final battle. Now that I've stated the 2 major problems, it's time to come up with a solution. Let me illustrate this. It is the end of the 7th arc. The clans have dissolved due to disaster, resulting in a literal decimation of cats, and the remainder roam as kitty pets and loners, some seeking refuge with a tribe in the mountains. Jayfeather, the old blind medicine cat, stays in ThunderClan territory. He helps the loners and all who remain living peacefully. Occasionally, he waded into the moon pool, pawing emptily at the water that transported them to their ancestors' hunting grounds, but they've long since abandoned them. A crack sounds beneath Jayfeather's feet one day. He tries to move, but he isn't as young as he used to be. He blasts out as water cascades down around him. He wakes up in the cave and realizes the moon pool must have been just above it. Somehow, he's alive, but in some way he's changed and he knows that fundamentally. The stone underneath his feet feels familiar in an odd way, even though he hasn't been down there in moons. As if guided by their own brain, his paws moving forward towards the entrance of the cave. He pushes himself into the bright sunlight, and somehow he can see the aura of all cats reflected in the lake as the sun blazes around him. Yes, Jayfeather's rock, and a new timeline has started. I believe all these problems can be fixed simply by rebooting a series after a hiatus. This hiatus will give the errands time to plan out things properly this time, maybe in phases, and give them time to flesh out the warrior world more. Many franchises have reboots. A primary example of that is comics where multiple timelines exist, and sometimes 2 comics with the same characters in different timelines will run alongside each other. Doing a reboot would also be a good way to bring in new people who do not want to read all 50 Warrior Cat books to know what is happening. With such an expansive universe, Warriors should emulate an equally complex medium. Not many books have over 1,000 characters, so that's why I brought up comics. Instead of making spin-offs like Seekers and Bravelands, maybe they should simply expand the Warriors IP to include other groups of cats, such as Blood Clan and the Tribe, and make them sometimes converge but often stand independent of one another. My idea of this is a main series, which is the 5 clans, remain books. Other series centered around the Sisters, Blood Clan, and other groups can be books. However, it can also be comic series like Ravenpaw and Barley. Maybe they can even be webtoons, similar to DC's Bat adventures experiments. The possibilities are endless. Maybe even a video game could be made. Not everything has to be made from scratch in Warriors 2. The entire point of this reboot is to learn from the mistakes in Warriors 1. Like comics, characters from the first time can of course show up in various forms. Plotlines can be reused as well, more so refined than reused actually. But that's just my idea. Do you think this is realistic? Comment down your opinion below on that. And how would you fix the Warriors series? If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats videos pretty often, and your support means a lot to me. And to those who are already subscribed, thank you so much for your continued support. I wouldn't have gotten here without y'all. That's all, peace out, and have a good day.